Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura. And do you know what this is? Other than, of course, a big bag. This is a big bag of opportunities. My friends Robin and Allison did have these the other day, and they turned these plain bags into something quite spectacular. They had this big surface that they did embellishing in, and then they put a lining in it. So today I would like to share with you how we can take these apart, embellish them, line them, and add some pockets while we're along the way. So recently I have found these bags at Dollarama, and you can get 3 different grays. You can get a light one, a medium one, and a dark one. They look like wool, but I'm pretty sure they are a polyester felt, but they are quite thick. Now this is a really big bag, which means we have a big surface here that we're going to be able to work on. So we could machine embroider, we could paint on this, we could sew patches on it, embellish it with all sorts of things, and it's put together with large stitching. So all we need to do is put our seam ripper in there, and that's going to come right apart. And then we're going to have this one really big side that we're going to work on. So it ends up being a nice big flat surface. And this is what I have decided to do on my dark one. Now this was an embroidery design that I did get from an embroidery library. I'll put a link in the description just in case you'd like to check it out. But the idea is we have this big surface that we're going to work with. If we're doing handwork, we don't need to take them apart. Now if you're going to embroider on both sides, I would recommend taking both sides apart. I am only going to work on the one side. So now I'm going to be able to stitch these back together. And it's one seam all the way around. So this does not stretch. So it's going to go together just as easy as it came apart. So I'm going to back stitch a little bit and then sew all the way around and back stitch at that end. And you're going to be able to use larger stitches just like they did. Now I would recommend an all-purpose thread and a good strong denim needle to put that back together. So this large surface does have a lot of potential. But if we are going to do embroidery or any other type of work on it, we might want to line the bag. So today I want to share with you my technique on how to put a lining in this bag. So we are going to only need 2 measurements for this bag. So I'm going to open this up, flatten it, and I need the measurement from one side to the other, which is half that bag. And in my case, it's 30 inches. So I do like to draw myself a diagram and write that measurement. It is very easy to get twisted length from width. So the next measurement, I'm going to need half of this measurement. And make sure it comes out all the way. And I have 18 inches. So those are the half sizes for that bag. I will need to be adding a seam allowance. So for the half bag, I am only going to need 2 seams. So I'm going to add 1 inch. And that gives me a 1/2 inch on each side. For this measurement, I want that lining to come up and over the top so it looks like I have a little binding. So I'm going to turn that 18 inches into 20. I need to cut 2 pieces of fabric this size. From there, I can add pockets inside. So here's that large piece of fabric. I know my handles are going to go up here, and this is the middle of the bag. I need to find an area where I'm going to put a pocket. And if you have taken your bag apart, this is probably the easiest way to do it, is my extra seam allowance is 1.5 inches. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches up at the top. I'm going to center it, and then I can draw a line all the way around. I'm just tracing around this bag. I'm using a marker that is going to fade. Now when I take that off, I can see exactly that front. I can choose where I'm going to put the pocket and the different sizes of pockets. I like to have my pockets closer to the bottom of that front, and that way it is not top heavy. So my personal favorite way of making a pocket is I'm going to take the pocket size that I want, and I'm going to double it in fabric. Then I'm going to stitch around, leave a little opening, turn it out, press it, and top stitch all the way around. So once that's done, then I have a nice pocket from both sides. And because I do have my marks, I can decide where I'm going to put that and stitch it down. So I'm going to do a small pocket and a larger pocket. So my pocket is stitched on. That is where my pocket is going to be. It's a big pocket, but you can see that it's closer to the bottom here. For myself, I am only going to add one pocket. From here, we just need to do a little bit of sewing. So we're going to match our right sides together. We're going to sew down those sides and coming into the bottom. We need to sew about 8 inches on each side and leave this open. We are now going to match this bottom seam with that side seam. So we're going to be able to just pull that apart and those two seams can line up. We're going to sew this point off and we're going to measure from this point up 5 inches. Use a straight line on the ruler, and when we do that we're going to have approximately 10 inches here, and that's what we're looking for because the side of the bag is 10 inches. Draw a line, pin, and stitch, and do that to both sides. So this was the bottom of that 8 inches, and that's the side. Now you can trim that off if you like, but in this case I don't mind leaving it on. When I turn all of this right side out, I have a big square bottom, and that is going to match the bottom of the bag. Now I'm going to fold this, and I want the right side, the outside of the bag, to match the good side of that fabric. That center will match the center here, and then when we open it up, we're going to have that piece all the way around. So I'm clipping from the center out on both sides. And when you do that, be sure to take that handle and tuck it inside out of the way. Now I'm going to be able to go to the sewing machine and stitch these layers together. Now this is good and big, so it is going to go around the head of your machine. So you're going to be able to stitch all the way around. I am using a 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout the project. Now from that big bottom, I'm going to be able to pull that lining up to the top. Now I'm going to be able to tuck this in, and because this was a nice heavy felt, when I wrap it around, I'm going to have a little 1/4 inch here at the top. So I'm going to go back to the machine and stitch in the ditch all the way around. Turn that bag right side out, and as this goes around, the arm of the machine will also fit in here, just like we did when we sewed that on. Once that little edge has been stitched, we will need to close that bottom. So I've just rolled the seams in and have done a row of stitching. The bag is now done. I'm going to be able to put that lining in and put the bag to the right side. That lining looks really nice along the top. It looks like we've done a little bit of piping. You can see where that pocket is sitting closer to the bottom of the bag and not here at the top. And there is my dark one. I put a nice red lining in, and in this bag I have no pocket at all. But that red lining really has added a nice touch. Now if you do find this is too much to put through the machine, this felt is very, very easy to hand stitch. As a matter of fact, you could do a decorative blanket stitch all the way around with a beautiful wool, and that really would change the outlook. And if you do that, be sure to do that to the handles. It would look really nice. So I have my embroidered bag and my bag that is waiting to be embellished. Right now I'm able to get these in my Canadian Dollarama, so hopefully you can find them too. And thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy, and thank you Robin and Allison for the great ideas on sprucing up these big beautiful bags. Have a spectacular day. Bye for now.